So my heart was to live out the gospel for the rest of my life. I was age 25, I remember just thinking, what should my life be about? And I wanted it to be about the gospel, and the Lord used that heart and brought me to foster care. Really, I wasn't seeking foster care. It was God who said, okay, you want to live out the gospel, here's a way that you can live that out, and that's through foster care ministry. Foster care can't be just one church. It has to be all the churches getting together, and so they were smart enough to realize we have to be our own 501c3 to be able to serve our community right here.
I might not have a particular call to run a foster care agency, but I see God's hand doing that because I say, yeah, that mission is our mission too.
We have a tendency to romanticize the word calling as followers of Jesus. It's more like a command. That's a big takeaway for us. Tell us more about that.
I think that if you continue to say, well, this is a calling, it doesn't really give it a timeline necessarily. This is personal experience. I found that it's easy for me to say, well, that's my calling to do in the future. That's my calling to create my life to be. But if you have a command on your life from someone in authority over your life, the option you have is to obey or disobey.
Yeah.
And he also cares deeply about restoration. And that was, I think, the thing that really drew me to foster care specifically, was the opportunity to see lives really restored to the hope of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So,
and you thought you had it covered because you were teachers, right?
Hands down.
Good with kids, good with dogs.
Yep. Thought it was going to be the easiest thing in the whole wide world. Like, I've been teaching forever. I'm good with kids. And I've never been more wrong about anything in my whole life. I was blindsided.
What's the family look like?
Yes, so I'm a mom of 5 wonderful children. We have adopted 3, and we are still continuing to foster 2. We actually got connected to a Door of Hope through a lady who was attending the church that we were at back in 2016. Several of her children were in our student ministry when my husband was the youth pastor there, and she just came up to us one day and was like, hey, have you ever thought about fostering? Because she knew that biologically my husband and I can't have children. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could never do that. I could never give a child back. Very humbly, she's like, well, Sarah, it's just not about you. Your job is to love these kids and give them opportunities that they otherwise wouldn't have had. So I went home and talked to my husband about it. We prayed about it. We're like, absolutely, this is where God is leading us.
So we said to the Lord, if we cannot have a biological child of our own, we're going to take care of yours. And right away we started fostering and in Pinellas County. And our first little one was 4 years old, and he was full of spunk, and we started our journey. And it's basically a roller coaster ride when you start fostering. Right after that, guess what happened? I got pregnant. When you bring a child into your home that has experienced trauma, you're bringing trauma into your home, and often it affects the dynamics within your family. Your marriage, your biological children, your foster kids, and you as mom want to meet the needs of everyone.
So a billboard went up on my daily drive. I turned out of my neighborhood, and if I went anywhere, I saw this billboard that said, become a foster parent today. So I thought, okay, God, I hear you. But my husband was in the Army, and we were getting ready to move to our next duty station. So as soon as we got there, we started the licensing process. It was long, it was different in Texas, and if we were not licensed by January 1st, it probably wouldn't work out. We got licensed on December 31st. Our agency wasn't even open that day, but they knew we had a timeline, and they came out and they licensed us. And so a few days later, we got a call about 3 little kids who were in a shelter. They'd been there for 3 months, and they needed a home. Basically, overnight, we went from having 2 kids to having 5 kids, and we had really good training. All under 7. All under 7. When they came into our home, our world was turned upside down. Because we thought we knew what it was like, and we knew that we were doing what the Lord called us to do, but it was so much harder than we could have ever imagined. But we got through it.
But as you said, there are a lot of needs for the foster families, and you guys have seen those gaps in the needs being met, and you've decided that you're going to help fill those gaps. Tell us about your new ministry.
In our community that we serve, Christian providers, and we contacted them, hey, Are you open to partnering with us? And from then we set up calls. They got to know us. Often they're saying, oh my gosh, I did not know a Door of Hope existed.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to partner with you. How can we serve the families? Whether it be marriage, individual counseling, equine therapy, speech, OT, any of those services. And we were just blown away by what the Lord was doing. Right now, we have onboarded over 30 providers, and over 20 of our licensed foster homes are utilizing those services. We are seeing that we can fill that gap. We can step in and meet that need, take care of the entire family so that they can serve the child that's been placed in their home.